Hi, and welcome to Cockatude, Cockatoos with Attitude, and friends. Today it's our Babalu update, and I want to thank our patrons who are here watching this. Thank you so much for keeping us alive. Without your support, we couldn't be here. And Babalu has a prolapse, okay? And what is a prolapse? Prolapse is when the muscles in the colon become weak, and they are forced to use their stomach muscles to eliminate waste. Eventually, the power of that push will actually push the insides out. Now, we caught Bob before it had fully happened, but it was ready to pop out. We're talking, there was a huge bulge underneath him when he went to the bathroom. So took him to Dr. Jenkins, and we had the first stitch. What they do initially is to put a stitch there, and what the stitch does is help to hold everything in. He has now up to having 2 stitches at a time, and he had his third surgery about a year ago. This is fortunate. Well, we made some changes. We don't know if these changes affected it. We don't know why these prolapses happen. We have a couple of ideas, okay? One is lack of exercise. Now, the only true exercise a bird gets is when they're flying. Research done by a paleoanthropologist on birds showed that about 10% of physical activity is all you ever get unless you're flying. When you're flying, you're getting a full use of the metabolism of a bird. So that's the only way they can get exercise. The other side of a prolapse is lack of moisture in the diet. If it's dry in there, you get constipated. And when you're constipated, you have to push, okay? And if you've watched your birds, they don't go over to the water bowls much. I'm thinking that the best thing would probably be a fountain. Maybe in the wild, they drink more off of leaves and out of actual waterfalls. We don't know the answer to that, but it seems likely. So what we've done to mitigate that is I have made a mash, and the mash is wet, obviously. It has pellets in it, but the pellets are all blended in. It has fruit, which helps to move things along. So there's fruit, there's fiber, there's pellets in it, and there's vegetables, which also have a lot of fiber. This is to help keep things moving. Well, since we started giving Bob this mash, we actually have a situation where he has not had to go back for another stitch for a long time. And the other side of it is the stitches that are in there are kind of weak at this point, but that's not making a big difference, okay? He's still able to go to the bathroom. It takes a little longer than the other birds, but he's not messy very often down there. And I'm hoping that this mash will definitely keep him going longer, because once he has to go in, they have a major surgery that was actually developed by Dr. Jenkins, but where they tie the internal section of the cloaca up to one of the ribs. And what this does is, it keeps it from coming out for maybe 3 years or a little more. After that, it's going to be bye-bye Bob. There won't be a choice. You give him this major surgery that goes for about $1,000, and you've got another 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 at the outset. But so we're hoping we don't have to do that. I'm a little encouraged myself that he hasn't had a problem like that since we started him on this diet. Okay. Now, he has been getting some flight, because that's the other thing, the exercise. I tried to get him into the aviary and get him to fly around a bit, and it's not quite like taking him out to a large aviary that's designed for flight cage, but nonetheless, he is getting some flight. I wish he could get more, but monetary constraints make that a little difficult. It might be the case that this new diet is actually one of the solutions to the problem. I also have sugar on it because she's making grunting sounds when she goes to the bathroom. I love that euphemism. They're not going to a bathroom. As far as I can tell, there's no bathroom anywhere near them when they go. But anyway, euphemisms aside, she's had this issue, and I've noticed that she has not been making quite as much noise when she goes to the bathroom now, which would indicate she's not pressing her stomach muscles as hard. But again, that's anecdotal. We don't have a lot of studies on this. The vets aren't doing studies on it. Now, when he started having this problem and we had to get him stitched up, he evidenced a few behavioral issues. One of the behavioral problems is that he will scream. If you put him in a room full of birds, inside a cage in a room full of birds, he will just scream all day long without stopping. Screaming, if you don't know, is repetitive squawking. It's squawking that goes on and on and on. At 125 decibels, that's not a good thing. My hearing isn't that great, so it's not going to bother me that much, okay? But the other birds will start to pick up the habit. So he'll be doing that constantly, and they'll start calling, and then after a while you have a whole room of screaming birds. So he's in the back room, keeps him a little calmer. He's in the night room with Salamander, who also doesn't like to be around a bunch of other birds, and Buddy, who has done much better since he was isolated from the main bird room. He actually, that along with the medicine, that's been the key to making it so that he no longer has feather destructive behavior. That's why he's such a beautiful looking bird. But other issues that he developed, he was always, well, I used to call him the room monitor. If you had him in the socialization room before we got the aviary, that's the only place we went when we were a group. He would try to protect the area around me, and he would go after other birds, and this wasn't good. He's still like that, maybe a little worse now, since he had the evidence of the prolapse on the way. So have to be careful with him when he's around the other birds, especially if he's around Pippa. Okay, he has issues with Pippa. Originally he wanted to mate with Pippa, but that didn't work out. So now he's basically trying to chase her down. So I have to be careful what order I take the birds out to the aviary. He's got to be one of the last birds. Pippa's usually second to last. And the reason for that is that Lorelei is she's a little monster to the other birds if you take her out there early. So Lorelei, then Pippa, okay? It's Bob, Pippa, Lorelei. And I have to move pretty fast because I have to make sure that they're separated in there and they don't have an issue with each other. Generally, they have to be in there a while before that happens, but I'm not taking any chances, you know? He did have a clean bill of health at the vet. He doesn't have any bacteria or whatever. He's lost about 5% of his body weight since he started this issue with the prolapse. Okay, he has had a change in diet, and that could be part of the problem. If it gets to 10%, then we have to go down and do more tests. But all the tests came back that he's in good shape, so he remains psychologically a happy bird. He's especially happy if he's in the aviary. In fact, when I uncover it, he can see me uncovering it from the window, so he'll start doing his squawking, his repetitive screaming, actually. Because he doesn't want me to forget him, I guess. Whatever it is, when he sees that, he starts his noise. And then when he gets into the aviary, I put him on my chair because he likes to tear it up. So that distracts him from going after Pippa until I can get in there. And again, when I'm taking birds out, I take him out first, and then Lorelei, and then I try to go for Cecil, because Cecil's the next one that'll torture other birds.
I didn't get that.
But he's doing pretty darn well, and I'm happy with his behavior and his physical condition at this point. He's still a special, wonderful bird, and I love the little guy. I hope we have him around for a lot longer. And you can donate to him by going out to our website, hitting donate, and just put a note in there that it's for Babalu. Or, you can shoot me an email too, fatherdon@chloesanctuary.org, and let me know that your donation is for the Bob, and we'll put it into his special fund for the big surgery when that day comes. Thank you so much for supporting us, and remember that you can support us by going to Patreon, that's patreon.com/Chloe Sanctuary, and that's the place where you can support us by donating for 2 of our videos every month. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
The Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.